Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Sorry for sounding really congested today. I just got back from an investigator meeting in San Antonio. Had a lot of fun, but caught a cold too. And that's also why you haven't seen a lot of videos from me these last few days. I think I've gone like 5 days without doing a video. I was starting to get withdrawals. So it's back. I'm back to answer some questions. For those of you who are new here, first of all, welcome. I would hope that you would subscribe as well. I have a lot of contests and stuff like this hoodie you're seeing, the follow-up hoodie, which is really popular. I'm giving it away, so I have contests. One of them is if you can email 100 people from clinicaltrials.gov in order to get some studies for your company. There's all kinds of contests I give away, so make sure you subscribe on the blog. Subscribe on YouTube. So here's how this works. You send me a question, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'll keep you anonymous, and if it's good enough, I'll do a video. Alright, so I keep you anonymous by default, and then I will actually, unless you want me to mention you, I will mention your name, okay, but otherwise I'll keep you anonymous. So this question is from someone who will remain anonymous, but they're looking to make a quarterly performance review for their coordinators, and they want to know what to put in there. So here's what I would put. I would put how many studies have you managed this quarter as compared to last quarter. Are there any new studies since the last review? Or if you do like, usually we do quarterly reviews, but you can do like every 6 months or once a year. Quarterly reviews are pretty much standard in most companies, so quarterly reviews are the way to go. The quarterly reviews are the way I review my employees. So, are there any new studies since the last quarterly review? Are there any less studies since the last quarterly review? Because if you we're not in this situation now, thank God, in the industry, you actually study activity is picking up. But a few years ago, when study activity was falling off, and you would do a quarterly review, it was very likely that you'll have less studies for that coordinator at their more recent quarterly review than the past one, because studies were ending and new studies weren't starting. So that would give the employee kind of a better understanding for the situation that you guys are in, and if you ever have to do a pay cut or lay someone off, at least it won't be unexpected if you do these quarterly reviews. But back to the positive side of it, if you are getting busier and you are giving your coordinators more responsibilities, then an increase in their salary would be appropriate, and this is the way to document it. So what are some things to put in the quarterly review? How many studies? Okay. How are you recruiting patients? Is the coordinator helping with recruitment? How many study participants have they screened, randomized during that quarter? And also, how many study visits did they oversee for that quarter? So as long as the numbers are going up, you have reason, you're making more money as a site, hopefully, so you have a better reason to give your coordinator an increase in salary, even if it's small. Okay, an increase in salary would be helpful. Also, things that are not income generating activities but still count are things like how quickly do you enter data after a visit's completed? How quickly do you respond to queries? If you can do this, how quickly can you respond to queries? How is the overall impression of monitors of this coordinator? Do their follow-up letters from the CRAs reflect that the coordinator is doing a good job, or do they suggest that the coordinator may need more training or is having trouble? These things you can pretty much tell from the follow-up letters. Sometimes you don't even have to read between the lines. Sometimes these follow-up letters are very clear in what they say. So those are the things I would look at, and those are the things I would have on the form. And I know I told you I'm going to email you a form. Believe it or not, I'm still looking for it, because at this company that I used to work at, we had a really good one, and I want to use that one. So please be patient, but hopefully this video can help you out with creating your own form if you really need one really quickly. And then just hold on hold on for a little bit until I find mine. Now, as far as entering data and answering queries, you, as the site director, can actually approach sponsors, because sponsors are keeping track of the sites. Sponsors are keeping metrics on all these things to know which sites they want to do studies with in the future. So they keep metrics on things like how quickly data is entered, how quickly queries are resolved, how quickly the site will respond to their emails. So you want to email the sponsors. I would start with your CRA, but then maybe go up to project directors. Email them and say, hey, do you have any data for our site? We're trying to make improvements. We're trying to always better ourselves and train our employees better, and we want to be able to meet your standards and exceed your standards as a site. So we want to know what our numbers look like. And they might not all give it to you, but you'd be surprised, some of them will. I have never tried this myself personally, but I think I'm going to be doing that very soon. It's going to add an extra layer of data for my employee reviews. So ask your monitors, ask the sponsors, say, hey, do you have any data on our site as far as how quickly we answer queries, how quickly we enter data? Our screen fill rate, that's another thing you want to possibly add in the performance review. Is the coordinator doing a good job of pre-screening people, or are they just screening anyone who walks through the door, hence wasting a lot of time while seeming to be busy, but that activity unfortunately does not translate into actual money. So these are things you want to put in the quarterly review for the study coordinator. So I would ask the sponsors for metrics if you can, but even if they don't, you can keep some internal metrics yourself. You can keep track of our queries being answered, but if you're going to keep track of them, you have to do it consistently. That way you actually have good data to look at and to measure your study coordinators on, rather than just making things up subjectively. Alright, so you want like real data there. The best way is to get it from the sponsors because they already have it, but if they don't, it'd be good if you keep those metrics yourself. So things like that. Also things like, are they processing labs? Are they doing vitals? So each of those activities have like reviews you can do. You can also poll some of the study participants and ask them to review or rate their experience with the study coordinator. Areas that they're good at, areas that they're weak in, if they had any complaints or any praise to give to the study coordinator. I would do things like that. I have done things like that in the past, as far as from a customer service perspective. And also, feel free to call your monitor and say, hey, I'm doing quarterly review of employee ABC, and I want to know how he or she is doing, how they're responding to your emails, queries, entering data, where they can improve, where they're really good at. Also, if you're considering promoting your coordinator to something like a QA person, so someone who not only runs their own studies, but also does things like quality assurance or maybe even negotiate budgets, you want to look at whether they're doing those activities and how well they're doing and come up with different metrics to, I guess, score them on their performance. So hopefully this long-winded video helps. I didn't mean it to go this long, but there's a lot of things you can put in a quarterly review. I'm really passionate about employee development, employee growth, teaching employees how to be better at their job, and promoting them and paying them more. Okay, so hopefully this helps. I'll try to find that review report that I used at another site because it was really good, but if not, I'll come up with another one myself. But feel free to use this video to create your own, alright? And keep your questions coming in, Dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.